That's the most gavels I've done in the entire 2 years I've been doing this. Good evening and welcome to the Lake Bluff School District 65 Board of Education regular meeting for March 15th, 2016. Can we please have a roll call?
Mark Berry.
Present.
Leanne Charlotte, present. Julie Gatto. Present. Richard Haig.
Present.
Philip Hood.
Present.
Joan Rosen.
Present.
Susan Ryder, absent.
All right, so we have a quorum and we've already gone through our closed session and we're going to begin our regular meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. So you guys would please join us. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. At this time, we open up the podium. If anybody would like to address the board, this is our time for public comment. Please feel free to do so. Not seeing anyone, we'll move on and go to our item number 5, where we have the opportunity for board members to suggest an additional discussion item or future agenda item. If anybody would like to recommend something for tonight's conversation or future conversation, please do so.
I would like to suggest that we begin talking in April about future board meetings at LBMS, because that will be something we're going to need to be talking to the village on, booking our board meetings relatively soon for next year.
Oh, which way we're going to go.
Yes.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. I'll say one thing. With it being an election night, we're about a year out from a school board meeting, a school board election. So if anyone tonight finds this to be riveting, we will be looking for new members most likely in a year. So hopefully you feel excited with a lot of civic pride after voting today.
Paperwork, if you do choose to run an election, paperwork is due in December.
Yes.
For the April 2017 elections. So
Pay
December. The pay is
Don't
awesome.
say that. Pay is 0.
I would like to add an item for future conversation. I know we're changing some things in the curriculum at the middle school to add STEM programming, and I would love it if we could get an update about that.
Sure. Terry will get that down for us. And we'll actually have more information since we have our phone conference scheduled for tomorrow.
Great. Okay. And now we move to recognition, item 6.
And I am going to turn it over to Lori, who is going to introduce our wonderful students and the conference that they attended. The only thing is, you guys are going to, when you present, you're going to need to present to the board, and kind of, if you turn sideways, you can kind of present to them and present to your parents too, because they need to see.
So I'm just going to do a brief introduction just so you know a little bit about this. So this group of young people all were at a SIT conference, which is Students Involved in Technology. And we really want to thank the board and the Alliance for actually helping fund 78 students to be able to attend. And I also just want to take 2 seconds to thank the teachers who also went with us: Buffy Stauffer, Bethany Platt, Brett Kreiner, Melissa Pesquazi, Kathy Kushenpour, Daryl Beasy, Nancy Ark, and Rana Spivak. We couldn't have done it without their chaperoning. So this conference, again, it's about technology by students for students. And even our keynote speaker was a student, a high school student who has made lots of apps. So it inspires the kids to think, what could I do next? And we were pretty excited. There were about 80 different selections of presentations the kids could do. And out of those 80, 13 of them were by Lake Bluff students. And we had a total of 22 students involved in presenting. So that was pretty exciting. So now I'm going to really turn it over to the students, who I'll introduce. And they're going to tell you, these are all 4th, 5th, 6th, and 4th through 8th graders, let's put it that way, that presented. 3rd through 8th, actually 3rd through high school could attend. From our district, it was 3rd through 8th grade students who came. So I'm going to start, I'm sure this is on, with Matthew and Evelyn, and they are 4th graders.
Okay. Hi, my name is Matthew. So, what we did was we tried and did a presentation, and we used this Go by Go robot. We presented a Go by Go robot First we had to build him, which took us an hour and 13 minutes. Wow. We used an application called Scratch, and you can only find it online, but you can sometimes find it on apps, but you can't really use it. We programmed him to go forward, backward, left, and right. We also tried to make him come out of a box for our presentation, but it didn't really work out, so yeah.
So the reason me and Matthew decided to do the SIT conference was Mrs. Brown told us about it, and since I did the SIT conference last year, I asked Matthew if he wanted to do it, and obviously he said yes. So we came up with doing a robot, and he wanted to do Scratch, so we just kind of combined the two ideas.
And what were some of your favorite things from the conference?
So you hold this. So three of the things that I really enjoyed were the drones versus helicopter. It was one thing that was like how you can compare the abilities of a drone and what a helicopter can do differently. And we also liked the GoPro one, which Kay did, and the fast motion and slow motion one.
And they were all by like those students.
Wow.
We're going to see it work?
Pardon?
Do we see the robot work?
Oh, I don't want to.
We didn't.
Oh, we
They can see it.
I really like the drone presentation too. I felt like they were very organized, and the slideshow and videos were really fun.
Next up we have Luke.
Okay,
Yeah, you can hold them.
Hi, my name's Luke Harvey, and I presented about my Sphero BB-8 droid. I presented about the Sphero BB-8 droid and how it works. I did this by making it do certain actions like moving it around the room, making noises, etc. I also asked the audience to ask him yes or no questions, and he would answer them with my programming assistance. I really enjoyed technology, and the Sphero BB-8 uses some really cool technology for how it works, so I really liked that and felt confident about presenting about it. I also presented last year, so I had some background knowledge on how you do it. Well, my favorite part about the SIT conference was probably the logo contest, because you can like combine everything. You know, they have computers available, so you can like make computer-generated things, but while also just drawing them out. And I enjoyed it because anyone could do it. The winner would have their drawing on next year's SIT conference logo. I was so close to winning, but sadly I was beat by another image that was created by the computer. But I drew mine. So, yeah.
Wow.
All right, and next we have Kay, whose counterpart was supposed to be here this evening. Higgins, what she is saying.
So, Megan and I presented in GoPro. This is really exciting. We presented about the GoPro and how the GoPro works. We showed different accessories with the GoPro and different videos made with the GoPro. One video we put the GoPro on a stick and threw the stick out in the water with the GoPro on it, and my dog went to go get it. I also really like seeing people getting interested with the presentation and showing them videos. So the reason we wanted to present was we knew it was a great opportunity to show what we knew about technology, especially what we knew about the GoPro. Maeve really liked how fun it was to talk about the GoPro and seeing people being excited and interested in our presentation. Maeve really liked seeing her sister's presentation and about their robot named Pig. well, that's what they call it, presentation. I really like the mystery challenge where we were able to do hands-on things, and so yeah, hands-on.
And just so you know, the mystery challenge is kind of an engineering kind of aspect, so it's not only technology but engineering also. And next we have Gabe from the middle school, and Gabe this is his second year presenting.
Hello, my name is Gabe. I presented SimCity 4, which is a desktop game which allows you to build and design your own city or village. You can build an industrial polluting city, you can build a green, environmentally friendly city, you can even build a village like this. So to show the viewers how the game worked, I created a sample city, which accidentally included a Kmart. But this was the second year this is the second year I was presenting on SimCity, and I wanted to show this because it was a creative and realistic version of how city planning in real life works, and it allows you, the student, to deal with advanced situations, for example, crime, transportation, finance, and government. My favorite part of the SIT conference was not my own presentation, but the other people's presentations and how I got to experience technology that I haven't heard of. But really, I just like the food.
He sounds like a mini John.
He's killing him.
Drop the mic.
Right? Walk off.
Yeah. What are your only typical aid staff?
Brought the crowd to tears.
Do you want me to play it first? Or do you want to talk first?
I'll talk first.
Okay.
So, I'm Margaret Jemian. I'm a 7th grader at Lakewood Middle School. And I presented on a few advanced ways to use the program iMovie that comes on the Mac computer. And just learning how to use a green screen properly, how to, unfortunately, make yourself explode, make stuff disappear, and such. So this is like a little thing that my friend and I made a while ago. We were just having a lot of fun. So just kind of showing like how to, like, the effect of things disappearing over time. And maybe playing some instruments too. So my favorite part of the conference was actually Kay's presentation about the GoPro. It was just very unique in the way that you did it, especially with the stick and the GoPro and the dog going to go get it. And it was a really great experience going to this conference.
Okay, I have a question. What is a GoPro exactly? I saw the picture. What is it?
It's a camera that comes with a lot of different things. Like there's a water case.
Microphone? Sorry.
It's a camera where you can get make really cool videos with it, and like there's underwater cases, so you can do like swimming, and I've seen people do like cliff jumping. Like you can put like this chesty thing on where you put the GoPro right in front of you, so you can get like different point of views. It's really cool.
Oh, cool. How could your sister in the
Oh yeah, my sister, she put it on a skiing pole, and then she held the skiing pole out. She was sledding, and so then she was going downhill, and it was a really cool point of view, the way that she was holding it behind her, but still was getting the whole view of the hill, and then at the ending, she crashed.
Oh.
Any other questions?
Really good work.
Yeah, great
Very
job.
cool. Great. Thanks, guys. Very interesting.
Outstanding, you guys.
Thanks for coming.
stay, but if anybody needs to leave now, that's perfectly all right. Other.
Thank you very much for coming. While the kids are packing up and getting ready to go home and do their homework, the administrator reports are all going to be cut because we wanted the kids to present tonight. So we have PTO and Alliance and Board President's report left. The rest of us cut our reports for tonight.
So if, Eva, do you have anything for us tonight? Okay, so we'll have the PTO report.
Good evening. Hi, I'm Eva Rice, the district president for the PTO, and I have a very short update. I just wanted to briefly remind everyone about the spring auction, Lake Bluff Downs. It's a derby theme. It's scheduled for April 30th, Saturday night, April 30th, and it will be held at the Lake Bluff Rec Center. And we have a great team that's got a lot of energy, and they're so excited about this party. So they have been out there asking for donations, and some of our top auction items are a Bears game with 4 tickets, 4 pregame sideline field passes, 2 parking spaces, 4 Disney hopper passes, Snowflake Ski Club. It looks like they're offering 2 membership passes. Wow. And we have museum passes, birthday party experiences at places like Hot Shots, Color Me Mine, Ultimate Gymnastics. We have some trips, like a trip to the Blue Harbor Resort that we are asking families to underwrite. And so we have a couple of things like that. And then each class will be doing class baskets that we'll be auctioning as well. So we're really excited. We, as a reminder, do this every other year. And it is one of our biggest fundraisers for the district PTO. So as you know, all this money will be going towards the renovation and the STEM lab. So I think people are really excited. We have a, like I said, a great team, and they're really bringing in a lot of fun, creative ideas.
So that's April 30th?
That's April 30th.
At the rec center?
At the rec center, yep, in the gym.
7 o'clock? Or?
I think it starts at 7. There is a website, I believe that it's being posted on the PTO page, and that you can access and buy tickets.
If you could send me a link to that, I'll send that to the board members and administrators.
I will.
Actually, I'll send it to the staff too.
Yeah, great. So that's all the updates that I have, unless you guys have any questions for me. Okay.
No, thanks.
Thank you very much.
And I'm looking for anybody from the Alliance, and then that's... No.
But Jay does have something
for
finance.
Jay. Okay, so nothing for the Alliance, but Jay is... Mr. Khan is going to do a finance update.
You should have this at your seats. It's just a list of disposition of district property. We are going to be getting rid of a Saxon math curriculum that we no longer use, and this will be donated to North Chicago School District 187.
All right. Thanks. Let's see. So, nothing from Dr. Rubenstein, right?
No.
Nothing from me, from the board president. You know, I'm going to pass. I got nothing for you. And that's Sophie?
Nope.
No. So we're going to move right on to discussions and presentations, where we are going to have, I believe, Tom Carano and
Yes, Tom and Craig.
Craig too.
Tom and Craig.
Craig's saying he's stepping out, stepping back on some of these. Okay. So,
Tom and Craig and Nate. We need all of you guys to participate in this
discussion. Give us an update on the middle
so.
school.
Nate, it might be easier for you if you sit down at this seat way down at the end up here. Yeah, the comfy chair.
Dr. Sophie, ladies and gentlemen of the board, and distinguished guests, thanks for having us here today. Just a couple of things before Tom is going to present the latest budget estimate on the project, but just by way of getting everybody on the same page. There's some things that have happened over the last few weeks that we want to keep you abreast of, and probably the most, I think one of the biggest items is we had our sound meeting with the neighborhood. That was last week, and we invited our acoustician out to present his findings that we shared with you guys. I think it was the last time we got together, and we did the same presentation with the neighbors. There were about 3 of them at the meeting, and we just kind of went through each one of the options and indicated which one of the 3 options that we would be pursuing in the documents. Answered questions by all the people that were there. Really not too much in the way of sound levels. I think that was fairly well covered in the report that was put together. I think there was some questions and some thoughts with regards to the look of the unit. I forwarded on a web link to Dr. Sophie so that she could share with the neighbors and provided some additional details. And we're out to bid for the units. We did indicate to the neighbors that we would be following up once things have been constructed and placed on the roof, and we would be taking additional sound measures once the unit is up and running, and to ensure that they are within the levels that we believe they will be based on the information we got from the manufacturer and the reports and all the instruments that our acoustician used to determine the sound levels at the property line. So it's all going according to plan. We are honoring the commitments that we made to the neighbors earlier on with regards to following up with them and following up on the project, and it's moving the way it should. So unless you have any other questions, that was kind of the big item as far as we're concerned. The meetings with the steering committee and the core team will continue during the course of construction, but as we're shifting more towards construction, it's Tom and his team that are going to assume more control of the meetings. I am not going anywhere. I am going to be here. I'm going to see this thing all the way through to invest in it at this point. And then I'll have some help from our team, some of our construction architects that specialize in this kind of thing to help Tom answer questions and do whatever we have to make sure that construction stays on track. So that's kind of my update.
Anybody have any questions for Craig on the architectural side? I just wanted to share the issue with the HVAC unit and the sound abatement and the acoustician. I don't know if you guys looked at the engineer's report, but it was very positive. We were able to reduce the modeling that was done indicates that at the property lines, the new unit will be 5 decibels quieter than what is there right now. And apparently 5 decibels is something that the human ear can detect. So it's significantly quieter than what they have in place right now. So it's all good for the community.
Tom, do you have extra handouts that we can pass out? Okay. All right.
This is the updated estimate and how it reflects with the budget. Before we go over that, I just want to give a quick update on construction. For anyone who hasn't seen that,
Terry, I'm grabbing one.
The classroom addition, we have all the foundations in and the stone base in, and we'll be looking to do the concrete slab next week, start masonry the following week, and steel is scheduled for the 15th of April. Over at the Fine Arts Edition, foundation is about 80% in. We probably will have that complete in another week and a half, and the slab and masonry and steel will follow up right behind. We have steel scheduled for April 30th. So things are moving along. We also have scheduled some remediation over spring break as well to do. So the handout here is our latest estimate from the last bid release and the updates from the latest drawings. I kind of want to go through where some of the added items, some of the breakout items, and where some of these cost increase have come from. Column 2 represents where we stood after the second bid release. And I'm just going to round off here. We're at about 9.3 million. The added alternates, the new entrance that was decided upon, along with the gas and water to the storage facility and the Skylink, which added a couple $100,000 to get us roughly to 9.5 million. The fourth column is really just to show you items that were in general trades that we broke out to create separate trade packages that we didn't have originally that were in the general trades package. We created a separate painting case, 2 different casework trades that we originally had in the general trades package. The fifth item is really what's based off our last estimate. And again, these are what we've estimated at. Some of the items that have caused some increase is the general trades. We have items in there for the library wall millwork, some miscellaneous estimating revisions, which is really probably more detail items and drywall issues and some of the finer detail items. Another item is interior glazing, which we originally had in a different trade package, EA, that we moved to general trades. A signage package that was added. The casework is one of our biggest increases. Again, some library wall millwork, some increase in quantities, and then some cost escalation. Those items are the same for the laboratory casework.
So Tom?
Yes.
I just wanted to share something that you shared with us at the last meet. When I always get the core team and whatever the
steering is big, core is small.
The last steering committee meeting, Tom shared too that one of the reasons they have these estimate revisions in column 5 is because his first estimate is based on very rough drawings, and over the course of time he gets new, more revised, more detailed drawings from the architect, and he can go back and revise and update his estimate, and that's
correct.
A lot of the reason for that 5th column there, if I'm not mistaken. Okay.
Correct.
And just so everybody's clear, if you start with column 2 and then you add column 3, 4, and 5, you get column 6. You add across from column 2.
Correct.
If that makes sense to everybody.
Then the other items, plumbing, it was just some small, again, some estimate revisions that added costs there. Mechanical, the sound attenuation that is in the mechanical unit, even though the unit that was selected was cheaper than the other options, that added some cost along with some miscellaneous revisions. And then the electrical, which added library lighting. So as you can see, there is some definite difference in these added items. And one of the things that Craig and I are looking at is options to reduce this, obviously. We're looking at some alternates and maybe Craig and I can go through some of those that we're looking at.
And that last column is not finalized numbers. We're still waiting for bid results. So
the only thing that's final are the items in green.
So there's lots of things out there that we're still waiting for numbers to come back, and hopeful that some of those numbers will go down.
Correct. But we're also looking at, if they don't go down, what can we do to reduce these costs?
Yep. And I had a correspondence with Jay and Jean over the weekend about that, and saying that that's when you get those good results back at the end of March,
it's
right?
March 29th is the...
We'll know a lot more. We'll know a lot, because that's a substantial bid picture.
That has all the MEPs, the casework, and the general trades.
MEP is mechanical, electrical, plumbing. We'll know a lot more about the state of this bid, the budget, and the steering committee will meet to help prioritize alternates and what's in there now, so we can bring that budget back into the line of what it needs to be. But we really need to get that actual result in before we start doing that.
We do. But we saw a definite increase there. We wanted to be sure everyone's aware of what's going on, where we're at, and then some of the items we're going to look at to help get things back in line.
I think there's a couple different things I wanted to add to that, and Nate and Jay, feel free to jump in too. First of all, we need to get more meetings on the calendar, because I don't know if I have any April and May meetings booked, so I will be emailing both of you to get those going. I think the big things that stand out in my mind, again, the front entrance, an additional $100,000. Everybody just needs to know that when we went back to the drawing board. The other thing that cost a little bit more after the plans were drawn, which is big, is that back library wall with all the lighting in it. You've seen it. It's absolutely spectacular, but there's 2 different points where that added, and I think that was close to an additional, what, 80 or 90,000 somewhere there?
There's actually 3 areas that affected. It's general trades, the millwork, and then electrical for lighting, and it's over 100,000.
So we've got that was the library wall. Then we also have the skylight, which we had on alternates, but when we saw the beautiful pictures with the openness, that was added back on. So when you look at the final figures now, it's just important to note that we're over budget. Now we've got to wait till the bid package comes in. And I know many of you had voiced concerns about the furniture piece, what's budgeted and what's not. I think the good news is that we've got 2 very active parent groups that are very interested in finding out what to put in the auction packages. That was a discussion that was had. We're actually breaking out some of those so that if a family wanted to buy, help me out, a bench in one of those open areas, they could buy a bench. You know, my personal favorite, I would do anything to get doors. So, and we're going to break those out and have packages for all of those for parents that want to contribute for that. I had another parent last night at the Alliance meeting that came up to me and said she would like me to involve the garden club in something with the school. So I really think that we're at a point when we look at these bottom figures, we have to consistently bring this back to all of you, because it's above budget. On the other hand, we don't know exactly what that's going to look like till the other 2 bid packages come in. Another couple things to keep in mind, as Jay had said, maximum, and we're going to use the word maximum, of $500,000 that we think we may have from this year's budget that we can consider down the road if you wanted to. And really that's money that we got in addition to what we thought we were going to get when we did bonds in June. Did I phrase that correctly?
Yeah, a lot. We got an extra $300,000 from bonds, and we'll have some general stating that wasn't budgeted, basically.
Can we hear a little more about, let's go into the assumption that the remainder of these bids are going to be consistent with what your original estimates were, and we're going to be $700,000 over budget. Can we hear a little bit more about how we deal with that beyond what you just said regarding the, the $500,000 that we have incremental?
Well, we have the option of spending the money, finding the money from somewhere else and spending it, or of reducing the scope of the project. So,
what do you mean finding money elsewhere?
Well, spending more money out of, we will add to fund balance with this year's surplus.
Right.
We ended up, or said another way, we for the same total cost, we were able to sell more bonds than we expected, which went into, so it would have taken less fund balance, so we could use some additional fund balance. So that your 2 options are spend more money or reduce or cut your costs. And what they were saying is they're going to be looking at ways to bring that number back down, in addition to just crossing our fingers and hoping the bids come back better. We're looking at items to pull out of the project. That
Worst case, well, not even worst case because we haven't seen the future bid yet. So assuming that the original estimates stay the same and we have these additions in here, we're dealing with $700,000 over where we thought we were going to be. And just to make sure I'm clear in my own thinking, a piece of that can come from the oversubscribed bonds. Do you know you know how much that is?
About 300,000.
300,000. So the remaining 400 would have to come from the surplus that we're going
We
to
don't have 400,000 more than
I mean, we had some alternates that we were planning on adding back in that are below the line.
Mm-hmm.
So you'd have to prioritize, if we had the additional money to put into the project, you would have to prioritize these things that are in the base budget over some of those alternates, and
like doors and floors.
Or either not do them or push them out into the future and use district funds next year, the year after that, however long it takes to.
These are alternates in column 5?
No, down at the bottom.
The bottom part. Yeah, no, I see where they are, but the ones, we're not even, those aren't even in the 9.
Correct. But I think we had, when we thought, before we had these revised estimates, when we were at 9.3,
right,
we were considering doing some additional alternates like the flooring, where we could do it all at once.
Right.
John, I think you're asking what is our triage plan?
Yeah,
we don't have that.
We don't have one yet.
We don't have that because we don't know the final number. We don't know the
I think it's important we sort of lay out some potential conceptual ideas about what we might want to do, though. I mean, I agree. I don't know how you guys feel. You've been at this business longer than I have, but I've been through a couple houses, and it's rare that you come in under the original estimate. I mean, I hope that happens, and it happens in some cases. It has happened in some cases, but best case, I think, would be to hit the original estimate. If that occurs, we got a $700,000 issue to deal with in some fashion. I think we should talk about that now rather than be faced with it in the future and say, oh my God, what are we going to do about it?
That's why we're bringing it to you tonight.
Okay.
Well, we're not bringing it to the board to make that call.
Right.
But
Just to start thinking about it.
The steering committee has to make those calls, and along with the architect and the construction manager, make those decisions.
And then bring it back to the board.
Yeah.
I think that it's my understanding the steering committee would give some direction if we're eliminating things, or that they'll give some help in terms of prioritizing stuff. But I think the larger financial picture is absolutely for the board to figure out.
Not to give a recommendation to the board to act on steering committee's recommendation.
So these added alternates that we put in here for now are based upon recommendations of the steering committee?
At the bottom ones.
No, right in here. That are actually in the numbers.
That would be column 3 is the
right.
Yes.
Got it. Yep. So of all the alternates that we had last time, which was a longer list, they prioritized to put those in and seek bid on those?
The ones at the bottom were prioritized by the steering committee.
No, and to Phil's point, the steering committee made the decision to move forward with the front entrance and the skylight because Tom had to know by a certain time to place orders for either material fabrication or to get the bid out. Because it was
the board looked at that too.
Yeah, that was brought back to the board.
We commented on that.
Yeah.
I think the big piece is, I think that the other big piece of the puzzle is that every time a group donates something, for instance, when PTO gave their generous donation of $200,000 for the STEM, it's $200,000 that can go somewhere else. So as we look at some of these items, for instance, I'm going to use my famous doors because it's a good example. If we didn't put that in this budget, we could auction off doors and get some of the doors done and then come up with a plan, buy 10 doors every year. We have to decide as a group where that's going to start. I think that's what you're trying to hit, John. What are we absolutely going to do? And what are some other different options? For instance, maybe we absolutely insist that all the corridors have to have the same flooring because that's going to tie it all together. Or maybe we're going to wait till the next bid package, and because you'll be back here April 4th or 5th, I can't remember. But with every single time we meet, we have more information. That's just
shouldn't gift revenue, whether it's from Kiwanis or from PTO, be reflected in here as a in this budget somewhere? I mean, if those are secure commitments,
We haven't done that, but we could.
Shouldn't that be reducing? Shouldn't that be reducing the number?
We should add
Because-
that on here.
Because what I don't want to do is feel like, oh, we got this now, so now we can look at this in a different light. It should be reflected.
I think
in
it
these
should
numbers.
be, it should.
So I want to make sure I understand here. Let's take one item. So library lighting, the incremental $50,000 in the scope of bidding. Have we bid on that?
No, it's off for bid now.
Okay, so that's
The only thing that's been bid is any.
in green, okay. But everything in that column 5 then is a sort of fait accompli.
Correct. Yeah.
So the cost really is 9.9 million. The alternatives, there are no alternatives.
Yeah, we don't know how, even though that column 5 is the result of that next estimate.
Right.
Okay. So we don't know at this point whether that's going to come true or not. But it could come in lower, it could come in higher.
Right, I understand that.
We don't know.
But these items are in the plan
Yes.
to move forward.
Yes.
So it's likely that we're at 9.9, assuming all of the estimates hold where you think they might hold. So these are plans that are going to take place. These aren't plans that may or may not take place. The only thing that may or may not take place are the things that are at the bottom and alternatives.
Well, but what we're also saying though is, and not counting the alternates at the bottom, is as a result of this, we're looking at options that could reduce that.
We move some of those.
Yeah, that's good.
So there could be things in the estimate, in the base bid now, that we would present and say, is this something you want to eliminate?
Such as, I'm going to make, like
Well, I
cabinetry.
have one other question. Is the construction manager's fee and architect fee a percentage of the incremental increases, or are those actually allocated costs toward whatever you're going to incur? In other words, I notice here that there's about $60,000 in incremental construction fees and architect fees for column 3, 4, and 5.
Correct.
Okay. Is that a percentage of what we're going to spend in 3, 4, and 5, or is that the actual hours that you're going to put in to implement what you're spending in 3, 4, and 5?
It's a percentage.
Okay, so is that, if it's a percentage, is it actual work being done then, or is it just a way of handling a cost?
It's reflective of, well, from the architect's standpoint, doing the drawings, administering during construction, or supporting construction administration. I guess that's part of our.
Okay. Incremental to what you originally thought you'd have to do. Okay.
So, as Tom was saying, you know, or actually Mr. Khan mentioned, it's not that, you know, we just kind of throw up our hands and say this is it. We're tackling this thing from a myriad of different points, and it's actually pretty typical of how the process works. It's just that we're condensing this down in a very short time frame, you know, to get the project done. So really what happens here is we look at it from a way of simplifying details. We also look at scope adjustments for the packages that are out right now. For example, you know, talking with the teachers, working through all the details for their spaces. We honored their request for casework and things and that scope grew, as Tom is saying over here. Working with Mr. Blackmer now to say, okay, what are the bare essentials over here? What can we kind of extract from the drawings and to bring that cost down? That's something that's going to be ongoing over the course of the next few weeks to make sure we get that a little bit more in line with what we were originally expecting and what needs to happen to make the spaces functional. The other thing is scope reductions, as you were mentioning. What are those things that, you know, we need to take a look at for eliminating? You always start with the least obtrusive, and then you work your way out to probably the more dramatic. And I have to tell you, there are a lot of different what's the word I'm looking for over here? But you know, pressures on needs and wants from different bodies of people. So we have to balance those out, make sure that those are taken care of and aligned with the budget at the same time. And it's a balancing act that happens during the course of a regular design documentation process. It's just kind of where we're at right now. So just to kind of sum up, from our standpoint, you know, we're looking at it not just from what we take out, but what can we adjust to get the same effect in terms of detailing. You know, is there a different kind of material? One of the things that earlier on that Tom and I were looking at is, you know, some of the light fixtures. You know, is there a different type of light fixture that'll still be LED, but that might give us the same lighting levels, but might not necessarily be the same amount of dollars? And we kind of worked through that and adjusted our costs for electrical that way. the millwork in the library is another good example. Is there some way we can simplify that and still achieve the same look and feel and the vibe that you saw in the drawings? Yes, there is. And so we've kind of done some drawings, some additional drawings, and set those out for bid as an alternate proposal so that there is at least a deduct that can be considered at some point by you when you're awarding contracts. So it's an ongoing process, and we'll eventually get there. Did that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a couple of money questions. I remember that when we were raising money for this, there was something like legally once you raise that money you have to spend it on this project, correct?
Correct.
So the money that we brought back, that $300,000 that was more than expected, does that apply to that too, or could that go like into fund reserve? Does that have to be spent on the project or not?
We borrowed $5.75 million, and the project is 9+. So we spend all of the money we borrowed first,
okay,
and the remainder comes out of fund balance. So it just means that we would, if we spend the same amount of money, we'll have that much more remaining in the fund balance at the end. So we are able to satisfy all the legal requirements.
So
we
would satisfy the legal requirement, but right now we're not. It's just $300,000. It's sort of not coming out of fund balance that we had intended to take out of fund balance to spend on the project. Okay, and within the budget that you have, Tom, there's money that is not. I don't even know how to describe. Yeah, it's contingency. How much is that?
We have in all the contracts, okay, for each trade package, there totals $350,000 in allowances. And then you can see we're also carrying a $250,000 contingency. Now, I just would caution everyone, particularly with the allowances, the reason we do it is because there's a renovation project, and when you start opening up walls and things, you're going to find things that no one knew about, and that's what that's for. It is going to get spent. All of it, no, not necessarily, but okay. I wouldn't want to sit there and
make other plans for it. Yeah. But when, and I apologize for asking you to get out your crystal ball.
Okay.
But when in the project might you have some idea like where you're going to stand with that? Because I'm assuming you open up the walls and there aren't so many surprises towards the last third.
We keep an ongoing tally, and actually at our construction meeting last week, we had found out that over by the fine arts area, the soils were unsuitable, and we have a quantity of what needs to be replaced, but that's going to be covered by the allowance. Okay. So as we come across these things, we report it at our owners meeting, and we keep a tally of it so we can definitely find out. Really, once your demolition is complete, you have a pretty good handle of where things stand. At that point, but again, I just would caution that,
Do you have your construction schedule memorized? Do you have any? I'm sure
pretty close. Yes.
About when does demolition get completed?
17 days after June 1st. Yeah.
So
more than Saturday. I have to go back and think there might be a day or two before that. So, that's roughly normal.
So mid-June.
Mid-June, correct.
And then you have 2 months after that to finish. Don't forget.
Yes, we do. In terms of the addition, the surprises come along the tie-ins where we're tying into the building. And we'll have all those surprises within the next month or two. On the inside, there shouldn't be any surprises. It's new construction. It's really the renovation portion where where the surprises could be.
Thanks.
Anybody else have any other questions? Did everybody see Nate's flyby?
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
We'll continue to add to that and have hopefully a complete documentation of the project.
I will also share that the first construction renovation report went out today. So all of you should have had it because you're all enrolled for it. And I will be copying some of Nate's work into those construction updates.
Not just my work, we're incorporating my my pilots in training as well.
Oh,
New
great.
students helping with the project.
Great. We have met, Nate and I and Jay have gone now to our second construction meeting. We meet every Tuesday. The community meetings will start after spring break. So, and there's a meeting even before our meeting, right, with Steve Miller and some other logistical people?
We hold contractors meetings every Tuesday at 8 o'clock, in which Steve attends. So he has an update of what's going on in his building as we're going along, and then any questions that arise that he can help us with. Yeah.
Questions, concerns, comments? We are starting to make that list again for the PTO auction. And we do need to put this on and capture it on the sheet. I agree with you on that, on the summary.
If you can get me those amounts, Gene, I'll update our list.
We'll put that. There's only a couple, so.
All right.
We welcome more though. So.
Thank you, guys. Okay. Thank you very much. All right. Moving on to action items, we're going to go to some big ticket items here. We're going to go to item 9A. It's what we're talking about here. The first item for consideration is the issuance of not to exceed $16,250,000 in general obligation bonds to be issued by the district pursuant to Article 19 of the School Code for the purposes of refunding certain of the district's outstanding bonds, and the Board of Education will consider the adoption of a resolution providing the issue of said bonds and the levy of a district annual tax sufficient to pay the principal and interest. The resolution set forth the parameters for the issuance of said bond and sale by designated officials of the district. The board members have all received a copy of the resolution, and copies are available for anyone in the audience who wishes to have one. To make that a little more clear, that was prepared for me. I just want everybody to know that what we're talking about is refunding existing callable 2008 series bonds, correct? The total principal on those existing bonds is $14.555 million. They're callable between December of 18 and June of 2027. By calling those bonds and reissuing new bonds at a lower interest rate, we'll be saving the district just short of $1 million. It's like $998,000 on the first $10 million of those bonds, and potentially in the neighborhood of another $200,000 on the remaining balance on those bonds. Does that sound right so far, Jay? So this was all discussed with Tammy Beckworth, who's here to answer questions that we needed on both February 23rd, 2016 and March 8th of 2016. And I just want to make sure everybody's clear on what we're doing, and if there's any questions for anybody before we actually have a vote on this.
I want to reiterate again that this will benefit the taxpayers. This is money that they will provide them tax savings.
Yes. It sounds like we're issuing additional bonds. It's really to take advantage of the current bond market and save money in the long term, in excess of $1 million.
Over 20 years, right?
10 years. 10 years. Okay, so now our secretary is required to read portion of this. You're supposed to read the title of the resolution for the motion here.
Resolution providing for the issue of not to exceed $16,250,000 of general obligation refunding school bonds, Series 2016, for the purpose of refunding certain outstanding bonds of the school district, providing for the levy of a direct annual tax sufficient to pay the principal and interest on said bonds, and authorizing the sale of said bonds to the purchaser thereof.
May I have a motion for this resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Now, could have a roll call vote, please?
Julie Gottschall.
Yes.
Richard Haig.
Yes.
Phil Hood.
Yes.
John Rosen.
Yes.
Mark Berry.
Yes.
Leanne Charlo, yes.
Motion is approved. All right. Item 9B, which goes hand in hand with 9A, which is a resolution authorizing and directing the execution of an escrow agreement in connection with the issue of each series of general obligation refunding bonds of these Series 2016 refunding school bonds. The proceeds of the district's general obligation refunding school bonds, Series 2016, will be used to refund outstanding bonds of the district, and in connection, it will be necessary for the district to enter into an escrow agreement with Amalgamated Bank of Chicago, Illinois, in connection with each series of bonds, and the Board of Education will consider the adoption of a resolution authorizing and directing the execution of an escrow agreement. All board members have a copy of the resolution, and copies are available to anyone in the audience who wishes to have one. So in this case, we're creating an escrow account to handle these funds, correct?
Correct. The bonds are not callable till 2018, so the proceeds from the sale of these bonds go into that account to pay those bonds off eventually when they become callable.
Any questions or comments on this issue? Okay, if you can read your report.
A lot of legal language, huh? Yeah. Some lawyers make a lot of money on this.
Resolution authorizing and directing the execution of an escrow agreement in connection with the issue of each series of general obligation refunding school bonds, Series 2016.
So may I have a motion to adopt the resolution directing the execution of an escrow agreement as presented and titled by Leanne Charlo, Secretary?
So
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Richard Haig.
Yes.
Philip Hood.
Yes.
John Rosen.
Yes.
Mark Berry.
Yes.
Leanne Charlo, yes. Julie Gottschall.
yes.
Okay, the motion is approved. Great. 9C, 2016-2017 non-licensed staffing plan. The board is asked to approve the non-licensed staffing plan as discussed at the Special Board of Education meeting on March 8th, 2016. Bear with me just a second. My screen died. Yeah, and so the net here is that we're talking about decreasing FTE of minus 0.05, which I think works out to
Pretty much the same.
One
It's
person,
pretty much
half
the
a
same.
day, something like that, over the course of a school year. So it's about flat from year to year. Any questions or comments on that? Okay, can I have a motion to approve the 2016-2017 non-licensed staffing plan as presented by the administration and included in the board book?
So moved. Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Philip Hood.
Yes.
John Rosen.
Yes.
Mark Berry.
Yes.
Leanne Charlo, yes. Julie Gottschall.
Yes.
Richard Haig.
Yes.
The motion is approved. All right, 9D, honorable dismissal of part-time teachers. Because of all the new laws, all part-time teachers who have not been grandfathered from the previous years in the district will be released every year. We do this because under the new Senate Bill 7, all teachers must be placed in a group for reduction in force purposes. All part-time teachers go into Group 1 and do not have the right to be automatically renewed, but instead are released and then rehired back upon need. This is the third year that we have done this. It is likely that all of the part-time teachers that we have this year will be hired back in April based upon our approved staffing plan. Any questions or comments on that? May I have a motion to approve the resolution for the dismissal of part-time teachers pursuant to Section 24-11 of the School Code for reasons other than reduction in force as presented by the administration?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Philip Hood.
Yes.
John Rosen.
Yes.
Mark Berry.
Yes.
Leanne Charlo, yes. Julie Gottschall.
Yes.
Richard Haig.
Yes.
Motion is approved. Item 9E, approval of policies for second reading. We have a series of policies in your board packet. I don't know if our policy committee wants to, we spoke about these at our last meeting, correct? On March 8th. So these were reviewed by the policy committee and discussed at the special meeting on March 8th in regards to policy 7:305, student athlete concussions and head injuries. Dr. Rubenstein reviewed the references to IHSA versus IESA And in many situations, the policies are written by the IHSA and then given to the IESA. Does the policy committee have any comments on that?
I'm really glad we cleared that up.
It's a big concern for me. Thanks. I just noticed that. I just want to make sure we have that covered.
The important business we can do.
So I'm not sensing any updates from the policy committee. I'm going to move on to ask for a motion to approve the policies for second read and adoption as included in your board packets.
So moved.
Second.
Is going to pass this money?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved.
Just one time.
Motion 9F, the approval of the personnel report. The board is asked to approve the personnel report from March 15th, 2016, which contains, unfortunately, the resignation of Terry Simon, Administrative Assistant to the Superintendent, Board of Education, effective March 24th, 2016. Any questions or comments?
You don't have to vote yes.
We don't approve. We don't approve. Does she have to stay?
My comment would be to say thank you for your service. You've done an amazing job. I really
Thank you.
appreciate what you've done in Virginia. Anybody else?
I think I'll abstain.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the personnel report for March 15th, 2016, as presented by the administration, to include the resignation of Terry Simon, Administrative Assistant to the Superintendent of the Board of Education, effective March 24th, 2016.
So moved.
Second. All in favor? Roll call vote, please.
John Rosen.
Yes.
Mark Berry.
Yes.
Leanne Charlo, yes. Julie Gottschall. Richard Haig.
Yes.
Phil Cook.
Yes.
The motion is approved. Reluctantly.
But if you change your mind, we take you back today.
The last action item for the evening is our consent agenda. And tonight, our consent agenda includes closed session meeting minutes from February 16th, 2016, committee of the whole minutes from February 16th, 2016, closed session meeting minutes from February 23rd, 2016, regular meeting minutes from February 23rd, 2016, special Board of Education meeting minutes for March 1st, 2016. It includes our P-card report, our bills report, our impressed report, and our treasurer's report. Is there anything that anybody would like to take out of that consent agenda to discuss separately? No? Then, may we have a motion to approve the consent agenda for March 15th, 2016 as presented by the administration and included everything I just listed?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Mark Berry.
Yes.
Leanne Charlo, yes. Julie Gottschall.
Yes.
Richard Haig.
Yes.
Philip Hood.
Yes.
John Rosen.
Yes.
Is that everybody? Yes. Motion is approved. Okay, we didn't have any FOIA requests, right? Do we have any additional public comment from anybody in the audience? Not hearing any. We'll move on. Any other last remarks or comments from anybody on the board?
Yeah, just one thing. Can we have as a point of discussion in the next meeting or some future meeting what we're going to do if we go up to like 10.3 or 10.4 in this bid package? It's at 9.9 now.
I think we have to have more discussions even at what we're at now.
Yeah, but I think I'd also like to have some discussions if we go over where we are right now. And what we're going to do about that. I mean, let's assume it's at 10.3 or 10.4. We should talk about it now before it gets to a point where our choices are more limited, I think.
What choices do we have beyond the...
Well, I think
cut back and not do some of the things.
Because originally when we started this project, I know we had a minimum and a maximum. We started, I think it was like 8.2 or 7.8 or something. I can't remember. Up to 9.
7.8 to 9.2.
7.8 to 9.2, and all of a sudden it ended at 9.2, and we never even started at 7.8. We ended at 9.2, and now we're at 9.9, and I think that's optimistic in my experience anyway. So we need to be prepared, I think, to understand how we're going to handle if the situation if it gets to 10.3 or 10.4.
I mean, even if you cut out all the alternates right now, and if we added in contributions from other parties, it's still not getting us down to where we wanted to be.
Right.
We're going to have that at the April Cal meeting.
Okay.
Because by then the third bid package will be in, and our numbers will be a lot sharper.
We can't borrow any more money, so really the only alternative is fund balance. And if we dig into fund balance, we need to look at that more long term as well. So it's a critical discussion. I don't feel comfortable allowing it to get to the to the point where they're making their bids before we end up having this discussion. We should discuss it before we even get to that.
You're right. Is there, and I don't know where it falls on the calendar for that Cal meeting. Do you know the date?
I think it's the week immediately following the bid approval.
Because it'd be nice.
April
it'd be nice if we could get a steering committee meeting in prior.
We're going to need to.
So let's try to schedule that.
We're going to need to. I think the other piece though that's important, and Jay, you may be saying this now too. They are doing some of these, like the library wall that costs all this money. They're bidding it out in two different ways. So they're bidding it out with their current drawings, but they're also doing it in a different way that would be more inexpensive, and then we're going to have to make the decision on which one we're going to go with.
That's what I was going to say. We'll have better information to...
Well, you know what I mean. It's 8:05.
Okay.
So is that what you were going to say too? Okay.
Okay. All good? We have a motion to adjourn at 8:07.
Second.
All in favor of adjourning at 8:07?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, this motion is
Have a good trip. We'll be ready by the next time to do that.